Broncos country, Broncos land. What's going on? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of David Talks Broncos. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe if you're interested in NFL Broncos content. Like 12 subs away from being able to do what I love the most, which is live streaming. But John, the guest I'm having on today, has been gracious enough to still come on, even though we gotta do a little pre-record. But John, how are you doing today? And start there.
I'm doing fabulous. Yesterday we had a show for the at CCF underscore sports podcast where we do everything from CU, CSU, Air Force, all the way down to your lower tier metro kind of sports in Colorado. So we cover it all. It was a rough one for Colorado teams and when it came to some basketball. Obviously, CU did some good things.
Yeah.
But CSU, not so much. Air Force, not so much. So just kind of holding on until then. But otherwise, it's been good. Seen some recruits go to CSU in a good way, and as well as Air Force. And I'm sure you've been talking about CU and their recruits as well.
Yeah, no doubt. Coach Prime's keeping us pretty busy out here in Boulder, but I'm glad in the off season, going to have some time, of course, to really dive into Broncos stuff because we have a very interesting off season ahead of us with, what are we going to do with the Russell Wilson cap hit? We going to just take this all in 1 year? We're going to spread it out over 2 with the post-June cut. Who knows, who's going to be the quarterback this next year? How are we going to handle this in the draft? All of that. And I want to get your quick thoughts on this very briefly before we dive into having some fun, doing some different mock drafts for the Broncos with some different scenarios and goals in mind. This division just got a little bit tougher, in my opinion, with Jim Harbaugh coming out to the Chargers in Los Angeles. What are your first thoughts on that?
Well, that is very Pete Carroll-esque. They were worried about some offenses maybe coming down, some allegations for Michigan. So he did the USC thing and said, hey, instead of going and being entrapped here with less scholarships at USC, I'm going to go head on over to Seattle Seahawks. Well, Jim Harbaugh thought instead of dealing with the loss of maybe some scholarships or whatever may come down the line, I'm going to go ahead and go to the Los Angeles Chargers. Man, that hurt me. I'm a Michigan fan. I hate Ohio State with a passion. I mean, when I was under 10 years old, I decided to hate Ohio State.
Yes.
And that this was with, again, a passion. I would go on the roster of NCAA and make sure they were all 59. I think that's the lowest you could get them. The lowest you could get them, if that was 40 or whatever, I would do that to Ohio State. So I was heartbroken. Then he's going to the Los Angeles Chargers, which will hopefully just be another Charger thing. They won't be able to get it together, even though they have a great coach. They have a great kind of roster going on, but they have a lot of cap issues going on too. So we'll see how that works out for them. What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I'm glad that Justin Herbert, for him, he gets a competent head coach. This is something that I think a lot of people overrate the Chargers, similar to maybe how some Broncos fans, we can kind of overrate our own guys too. But yes, they've had some good pieces. Austin Eckler, Keenan Allen, they're both getting up there in age. A lot of the skill guys that they've brought in to support them either can't stay healthy or haven't really panned out yet. And that defense, kind of similar to some situations the Broncos have been in over the last 8 years, it can be filled with some overpriced veterans that aren't exactly, living up to par, except for maybe a few. So I think that Jim Harbaugh has a little bit tougher of a rebuild, I think, than people might think. They might just think that, hey, this thing coming in here, they're going to expect to win and be a playoff team next year. I think that's definitely, a scenario that could happen, but it's not like him going to the 49ers when I feel like he kind of had a clean slate to work with. There's significant cap hits on the team right now, and just like the Broncos, they got some work to do. But luckily for the few Chargers fans out there, they finally have a quarterback that I feel like is going to get the most out of Justin Herbert, who I feel like is still a very talented quarterback. And yeah, division just got a lot tougher.
It did, but like what you're saying, Khalil Mack, what are they going to do with him? What are they
Yeah.
going to do with all their cornerbacks that need deals or who need to get off the books? I mean, there's just so much going on with the Chargers that at least this team is going to be in a couple of years the Harbaugh kind of esque team, and a lot of different guys from Michigan are coming out. So maybe he goes after those Michigan
Yeah.
guys to start getting that culture going the way he wants.
No doubt. No doubt. But it's always nice going in a situation where you have a quarterback you can already get behind. And hey, that leads to where we're at today with the Broncos. We're moving on from Russell Wilson, as much as my friend, or not friend, but I wish he was my friend, Alfred Williams on KOA. As much as he wants the Broncos to stick with Russell Wilson for another year, that's not happening, man. We're moving on from Russell Wilson, and we got to find ourselves a quarterback here. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're seeing the video here, but we're going to go ahead and, do some role play out some different scenarios on how the Broncos could attack the draft to not only meet that quarterback need, but also really help fill out the roster with right now starting with only 6 picks. So John and I were kind of going to tag team this, take you guys through some different mock draft scenarios, and maybe we can get an idea of some different ways the Broncos might attack this, or some different players that we feel like might be in reach and certain
Definitely.
spots for them. Anything else to add, John, before we get
No.
started?
Do you want to start with a no trade draft where we just have to roll with the punches?
Let's start there. This would be
Okay.
this would be pretty interesting, and then we can play out another scenario. So, yeah, I'm not gonna mess with any of these. We're using the profootballfocus.com mock draft, which I really like. So we will start, and I guess we can go fast. I mean, that would be kind of cool, but
It'd be great to see them all come through, but time is time.
yes. Oh,
I,
whoops. Let me go back. I don't
no
think I
worries.
selected the Broncos. Do.
It is funny though sometimes to see with the first pick overall, you see some of these guys that you just know won't go first
Right.
overall. But in the end, it balanced itself out.
Yes. So of course, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Marvin Harrison go off. Rome Adunzi, top 5 pick, along with Malik Neighbors. All right, this is very interesting. And Jay Daniels to the New York Giants at 6. Okay, so at 12 here, right ahead of the Raiders, we have we have some teams offering to trade with us, but we're gonna do a no
We're gonna
trade
do our
this
thing.
time around. So we got some guys here. We got Brock Bowers. We got, I'm gonna butcher this.
Yeah, I will too.
Talise Fuaga, Dallas
Yeah,
Turner, Jared Verse, Terrion Arnold, J.C. Latham. What are your thoughts right now on?
I just want to take a look at the quarterbacks, to be honest.
Okay, let's see what quarterbacks we have available. So we got guys
Whoa.
like Bo Nix available, which, hey, you seen Broncos country, I feel like is already a little divided on that. Michael Penix,
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy. Give me your thoughts, John.
Excuse me. I feel like these guys you would want at the back end of the first round, wanting that 50-year option essentially. Otherwise, I don't know what you would want to do with them this early with the 12th pick overall. You would have to sign off as with these guys saying, these are my guys. I'm ready to develop them, get them ready by midway into the halfway in the season and get them out there. And I don't think these guys are quite ready at pick 12, essentially. I couldn't go quarterback. Could you?
There should be a scenario in which we choose to do it, but I don't want it to be this one.
Yeah.
I think, ideally none of these guys, like, I don't think are first round picks.
Mm.
Now, realistically, if the Broncos do choose one of them in the first round, regardless of where it's at, I'm gonna get behind it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
find ways to get excited about it, but it's
right.
not my preference.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like if Penix gets, selected, it's like, okay, his medicals must have been great, I'm excited about all of that, then that kinda thing, I'll have to kind of work my way into excitement that way. I do like Brock Bowers. He's someone where I feel like you get a solid tight end in terms of blocking, which we definitely need. And I'm not talking about just a willing blocker. I'm talking
mhm,
about a blocker you can actually get. And then you get
mhm.
a wide receiver esque kind of tight end who can really split it out there and use the middle of the field. Hopefully, you have a quarterback that can use the middle of the field now. I'd be open to Brock Bowers. Would you?
Yes. Yeah, if Brock Bowers falls to 12, which, man, I don't know if I'm expecting, but I guess there are scenarios where this could happen. Man, I would love to pick him and at 12 because you know, we've seen the issues with a lot of the tight ends that we've drafted. Greg Dulcich, I was very excited about him. Third round pick, if I remember correctly, but he's been a
Yeah.
guy that hasn't been able to stay healthy. And now I don't know if you've
I
seen
mean,
this, John, but they say his chronic hamstring issues, now has to do with, the way that he's running. So they're trying to change his gait.
oh,
And when that's going on, I just kind of lose
I lose a little
optimism.
faith just because how do you change the way you run? I mean, that's a fundamental thing that the way you do it. It's something that you've done since you're a little kid. It's hard to change.
Yes.
That's all I'm thinking about. And then you go back to Fant. It's one of those things where I know it's a different regime, different people, but you went out for that flashy tight end who could make those big plays only, and you only went off after his pass catching skills. And then when it came to his blocking skills, ole, let them
Hmm.
buy. It was kind of that kind of thing, and on top of that, he really wasn't good after once he almost caught the ball. He got some contact, he would drop it. So
Yeah.
you got someone who's tough here as well in Bowers.
And I think, yeah, I mean, Alberto never developed into a blocker. Noah Fant, we traded away. I guess he's a little bit more well-rounded of a tight end than somebody like Alberto, or, I mean, at least he was on the field, unlike Dulcich. But yeah, with Noah Fant, he never really gave you too much in the
Yeah.
receiving side of things. I think we were hoping that he would develop into a better downfield threat, but not really one that worked through contact very well either. But Brock Bowers, I mean, I think he has that ceiling, to be one of those top tight ends in the NFL, a guy that can do everything. And when you look at the Sean Payton offenses that have had success in the past, we're talking about Jimmy Graham, we're talking about
Yeah.
Jeremy Shockey, like those types of guys. So I honestly, he would be my preference here because I think we need some more offensive firepower just in general with this offense. But
Yeah.
is there anybody else that you want to talk through or you feel like we should consider here at
There's
12?
some linemen that I would like, but they're not like a need at this point. It'd just be to get ahead of it. So I think
Mhm.
Bowers would be a pick where you can get something out of it now and in the future. So I'm all for Bowers
Well, we're in agreement there. Let's go ahead and make him the 12th overall pick. Brock Bowers coming to the Denver
because
Broncos.
we're going to need some offensive weapons because I don't expect Cortland Sutton or Tim Patrick to stay. There's going to be some change there in the wide receiver core. You're going to need a weapon.
Yes, no doubt. Jerry Judy, who knows too? I mean,
Jerry Judy, you never know.
I've done mock drafts where I've drafted in mind that we just might have 3 new starting wide receivers if we
Yeah. No,
if we
I
trade
totally
them all away.
agree, and, even though Jerry Judy's gotten a little bit better with his dancing, with his footwork, needs to make some catches, guys.
Mhm,
Alright,
mhm.
we're in the 3rd round now, no second round pick.
Went to Sean Payton,
Yes.
so yes, or to the New Orleans Saints for Sean Payton. So here, is there any specific positions that you're wanting to take a look at outside of kind of the best available?
Yeah, for me, I do want a developmental tackle, but again, with so many needs, I'm open up to really anything. I think the Broncos need an edge rusher, someone who can be a little bit of a bendy kind of guy as well.
Hmm.
I'd be into an edge rusher. Also, think you could use another DB. So it really is. When I look at this team, best player available, honestly, because I don't see there being a place where you can say we don't need a player there, except maybe running back, just because that's where they're richest, honestly.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know about, I guess we didn't really talk about this, John, is like how much of 2025 are you keeping in mind? Because, for instance, if we're taking a tackle in the third round, we do have Garrett Bowles and Mike McGlinchey, but is Garrett Bowles going to be gone after the next year? Is that something that you're thinking? Like, do you make
Yeah,
this pick right
that's
now with the future
that's
in
my
mind?
thought. Yeah, that is my thought right now. Everything is with 2025 in mind.
Okay.
It's a developmental process. We're getting ready for 2025.
Okay. Well, have you done any looking into Kingsley Suamataia?
He's a big man. That's what I know for sure. Is he 6'5" or is he 6'7"? I can't quite recall.
6'6",
Okay,
so
right in
right
the
in
middle.
between.
Right in
Yes.
the middle. He's a big guy. When I know from Sean Payton, he likes his guys a little bit bigger, a little bit wider. It seems like it'd be a good fit, honestly. I'm very excited to see him. I believe he's at the Senior Bowl or at the Shrine game. Sucks that they're both at the same time. Do you know when those are going live, the practices? Maybe we'll talk about that after.
I have
Uh,
no idea.
yeah, that's so important to watch when those practices are. I know it's coming next week, so that'll be exciting.
Mhm.
But I think that's the right move to make, honestly, at tackle to get someone in the future, have them develop under a year. Let's get them ready, and then boom, pop him up. If you have to trade, Bowles will be gone out of his contract, and then McGlinchey, you can have, swing over or whatever it may be, get him ready to be let go. Because after 2 years, I think that's the time where you actually is the perfect time to let him go.
I think so too.
So would
Yeah,
be very happy to get rid of that.
yes. So let's go ahead. We'll keep it chalk. Brock Bowers was the highest ranked player with our first pick, and let's go ahead and draft Mr. Kingsley over as a developmental tackle that hopefully we can get to the point where he can start for us year
And
two.
hopefully if he comes to Bronco, we'll be able to pronounce his name better.
Yes.
Oh, and now we got the center who I do like, Cedric Van Pran.
Yeah, Van Pran.
I do like him just because there's no way we're paying Cushing the
No.
$57 million out of 4 year. I forget the guaranteed amount of money. There's just no way the Broncos can afford it. Now I hear that the Broncos believe in Forsyth, so maybe they're thinking let's use Forsyth. Wattenberg is the backup, which I do not trust at all with
No.
Wattenberg. So I'm very hopeful that maybe there's someone we can look at the end of the draft. I really like what he can bring, but I think it's a little too rich with Forsyth on the roster. Do you agree there?
Man, well, it's interesting. Yeah, I guess, how seriously are you taking what they're saying about Forsyth? Because, yeah,
Right.
if they believe that he is like legitimately a starter, a pick like this doesn't make sense. But I mean, it's hard to pass over Georgia Lyman right now, man.
Right.
When there's kind of an unknown. Now, we've also talked about what's great with the Broncos is that we could kind of use talent everywhere. So we don't
Right.
need to be locked into really any specific spots too much, but there's some other guys here that I find pretty interesting.
Yeah, let's
Um,
look through
you
it.
know, Michael Hall Jr. from Ohio State on the
Yeah,
defensive
we need
interior.
some defensive interior guys to start getting some push
Mhm.
inside. It just was not working, especially with the run game.
Mhm, mhm. And then at running back, I know that this might not be the most popular pick. Hopefully, Javonte Williams comes back a little bit more explosive, being 2 years off of that brutal knee injury.
Definitely.
But I mean, Marshawn Lloyd is in my opinion, he's a guy that I think can develop into a starting running back in the
Yeah.
NFL.
Did
And
anything happen to
yeah,
his knee, or was that one of his teammates?
I don't. I don't
It
know.
might have been his teammate that
Okay.
I'm thinking of then.
But he has great
5'9".
size, 5'9",
Yeah.
210. And I
That's
mean,
all muscle, baby.
yeah. I mean, you saw how he tore up, Pac-12 defenses this year, including CU. But Jalen Wright, Will Shipley, those are some other running backs that I think are, pretty interesting as well. But yeah, curious if there's anybody else you feel like we should take a look at. We do have pick 121 coming up as well as 149. So
Anyone
yeah,
on the edge that you particularly like?
I haven't looked too much into. Man, I hopefully I get better at pronouncing these names. Justin
They're hard. Some of these names now.
Ab-
It's no longer John
Abojbi.
Doe. Yeah, him I have not looked at much, to be honest.
Yeah, 7 sacks, quarterback hurries. They kind of had him lined up all over the place, which is pretty interesting. So can kick a little bit inside if you need to, but then primarily rushing from the outside edge.
Yeah.
But yeah, edge. I know that like we don't have like a very dominant edge right now, somebody that is like Von Miller back in his day, or like Bradley
The
Chubb
it
was for us.
guy.
But
Yeah.
I do feel like we have
A good
maybe they're not
rotation.
great edges right now, but I feel like we got some good talent right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think?
I think it's just a matter of everyone is so used to having a name
Yes.
guy, and Jonathan Cooper, he doesn't have that name recognition. It's just a guy who grinds, and maybe
Mhm.
that's what's going on with a lot of people. They want someone who's getting 15 plus sacks for the records, when and that kind of accolades.
Mhm.
But otherwise, they're getting home enough. It's just a matter of on certain plays that you'd like to see some more pressure. I think that's it, more pressure instead of some of those plays where they just get sacks.
Yeah, no
But
doubt.
I think I'm in agreement. Let's get some interior defensive linemen. I think that's where we have to go before they're gone.
Yes. So with Michael Hall Jr., like he's you know 6'2", 280, a little bit lighter than what I would expect. And they mainly looked like they had him lining up, being responsible over the B gap. So maybe not necessarily being like a direct replacement for like our nose tackle. That would be Mike Purcell, correct? But
Right.
we kind of need anybody
At
on that line.
Yeah. And again, I assume maybe you have Matt Henningsen come in
Yes.
for that nose tackle position. You have maybe Hall come in more as that pass rusher, able to get some penetration on third down. So it's not so much again, this is more about creating a rotation where these guys come in fresh and they're doing well.
Mhm.
They're not overly tired. That's where I'm trying to get my kind of mindset where everyone's rotating in, feeling good. And again, you need to get some pass rush from the inside.
Mhm.
That's where again you're hurting your edges because the quarterback could just step up so easily and not feel a thing. So
Yes.
I agree. You can go with someone who can then gain some weight. Tell them, hey, we're gonna help you eat some food, man. It's gonna be fun, and that kind of thing. So I think Hall is a great pick.
I think so too. Let's roll with it and
It's
see
going
how.
against my Michigan view, but we'll do it.
Hey, I think the more blue blood players we get on this team,
The better.
we'll be okay. But okay, man, this is really interesting. So again, we have needs everywhere. Do we want to attack the offensive line again? Because there's still some guys here that are pretty interesting at both center and tackle. A guy like Kyrie Jackson was a very good corner at Oregon. He's a
Yeah.
guy that at cornerback we could definitely use some help with.
Does he play some
There.
inside?
Let's go see. Hopefully he can play some inside, because
We're
Damari
losing Will.
Mathis, I think he could get cut. Um,
Yeah.
Not a lot in the slot.
Okay. Okay.
Could we kick McMillan inside?
Yeah, that's where we could do it though. And then have
Mhm.
him go outside because Williams, unfortunately, I think is gone as your slot guy, and you need someone to replace that. This is an option where you can kick McMillan and go on, have him be the inside guy, and there you go. That way it is solved.
Yeah, 6'3" corner, man. That kind of
Love
size
those
is just
arms.
hard to turn down.
You can't those arms. I'm sure. Does it say his arm length here?
No.
Doesn't. But those arm lengths, huge thing, makes up for so much. I love that kind of thing. Can't wait to see
Okay.
that measured out. So I would take someone like that, definitely.
Well, let's go with it, man.
Let's do it.
Let's continue to draft defense.
Now,
Now
does
we are
that hurt you? I know Oregon drafting an Oregon guy must hurt you.
Nah, man. Hey,
You're good.
as much as I want to punch Dan Lanning, man, you know, those players from Oregon,
Yeah.
you know, they can play. But hey, we got some interesting guys coming up here at 149 that might you know, we might need to consider. Okay. Of course, linebacker Michael Barrett. I do think we need linebacker help.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the biggest position of need for us, but a lot of linebackers available here. Dallin Holker is another really good tight end. Do we just
Yeah.
want to say to hell with it? We're going to have great tight ends moving forward.
No,
James Williams
unfortunately
is, yeah.
not.
Okay. Cool. But yeah, what are your thoughts on some of these guys that are available at 149?
Yeah, when it comes to linebacker, I'm not as high on Michael Bennett as I believe others are when it comes to that.
Mhm.
I almost could go with honestly, another defensive tackle. Can you pull up defensive tackles?
Yes. Let's see what we got here.
It
So we
feels
got
like
the
you're
Auburn
going.
guys, Georgia.
Mhm.
So we got Justin Rogers, who's available. Yeah, plays inside A gap, B gap. I forget what the technique numbers is, but I mean, this is a freaking huge guy.
Yeah.
6'3", 346. That's wonderful. Marcus Harris, a guy who will play a little bit more outside, but you know, 6'3", 295, and then Zion Logue, you know,
Oh.
uh, a guy that can kind of play pretty much anywhere, but mainly be responsible for covering that B gap, 6'5", 310. You can kind of put him all over the line. And
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'll stop with Miles Murphy. He's another guy that I've seen pop up in a lot of
Mhm.
mocks, if I can talk correctly, but mainly just playing one gap, the B gap, and 6'4", 310. Thoughts on any of these guys?
Yeah, I haven't actually watched many of these guys just because the
Same.
the mocks I've used, it's just they haven't popped up. So this would be kind of a shot in the dark for me. I would just be kind of more interested in the guy who's been in the middle a little bit.
I think so too. It's it's hard to turn down a guy who's 6'3",
Because
346.
again,
So
I feel like we're losing DJ Jones, we're losing
yes.
Parcell, we're losing a good chunk of that defensive line. And then the other guys that are staying around, they could go very easily. Your Henningsen, some of those guys. I don't know how long they're going to be able to stay. So I think you got to take another defensive lineman.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We'll go with Justin Rogers on this one and
Perfect.
keep moving forward.
I
Uh,
agree, though. We do need a linebacker. The question is, do you get that in the second phase of free
mhm.
agency after the draft when they're dirt cheap, begging for a contract? That's where I feel like you get your linebacker because otherwise, spend a couple million on them. You're okay.
Yes, totally. Okay. So we got
Okay.
two more picks left in the 7th round. We're at 233 right now. Um, Ohio State safety Josh Proctor is available. Some developmental tackles are available. More defensive players. The edge Zion
I like him.
Tupuola, the Tui. Yes, he's available. I really like him as well. And then like this Florida center Kingsley Eguekun.
He's going to the Senior Bowl, if I'm correct, right?
Yes, yes.
So again, another guy we can watch. He will be able to elevate his draft stock if he wants. Well,
Mhm.
if he can,
Yeah.
essentially.
But then
Wow,
yeah, we also got some
some
guys
good
too.
guys here late.
Yeah, like Carson Steele is a really good running back that
Yeah.
again I wouldn't mind if we
If you
took a
want
running back
if
in the 7th round.
Payton feels like the running back room needs to be pushed, Go ahead and get that, because if he felt like he didn't get enough from Williams or Perrine, go
Pirine,
ahead.
yeah.
Pirine, yeah, go ahead and
Mhm.
get it. Go get it. It's about time.
Let's do it. And we'll finish up with one more pick here at the 240 mark. Um,
This is where
man.
I think you go with best player available.
Well, then we get a linebacker, which I'm not going to complain about. Guy from the SEC, Nathaniel Watson, 71 tackles.
But is he the best player available in your opinion?
Well, you're asking the wrong guy here. I have not been going into these 7th round guys here.
Have
So
you?
in terms of these wide receivers, I have no scouting report on any of these guys. I just know that Keaton Slovis is not worth an NFL draft pick.
No, I mean, how long
And
has he
yeah,
been in going on in college?
like
Gosh.
like forever, man. Oh, but Spates, they had Spates still falling here, a linebacker from LSU that I saw a little bit of.
He
Um,
got your eye?
yeah, I like Spates, but yeah, again, I'm partial to guys that play in the SEC, especially when it comes to
Yeah.
the defense side of things. But John, I'll let you make this last pick, man. I don't really have a guy that I am just dead set on rounding out this draft with.
Can you go to the linebackers real quick?
Yes.
I don't want to take everyone's time. Oh, there's not many linebackers left, is there?
No.
I might go with Bates then, if that's who you say, because there's not many guys left.
All right, man.
Let's do it.
Let's just do it. So I think that should round out our draft, and I'll go ahead and take a screenshot of this. But we'll see what grades we got. Hey, B plus, B
Not
plus.
bad, not bad.
I'll take it. And again, this is kind of funny because kind of drafting for next year in mind. We're hoping that by 2025 we have Brock Bowers as a starter. We have a starter at the tackle, the defensive interior side of things on both of the lines. We have a starter with Kyrie Jackson. We got a guy that maybe can develop into one at some point with Justin Rogers. Maybe he has to shed some weight. I don't know. And then we take some
Yeah.
flyers on some guys that, I mean, we'll see if they can carve out themselves roles in those positional rotations at some point. Kind of funny how we started out, John, talking about wide receiver, about how all the wide receivers could be gone. And we didn't pick one of them.
We didn't get one. Nope. It is kind of funny how that works out, but it'll be fun to go back and do these again. Maybe acquire more picks, see if that works out. Acquire less picks and be a little bit more frugal, but have them be more top heavy. Just a lot of things to kind of look through and go over these prospects in greater depth. Maybe we just talk about the top 5 at each position. Those kind of things we can see kind of coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that would be a lot of fun. Again, let's play out some scenarios. I know this took a little bit longer. It was our first time doing this, but I got to get running here in a few minutes, John.
Yeah.
So I got to start wrapping things up. But I think that this is a great way to end our first, David Talks Broncos show together, which is awesome. Again, not much you can do when you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 picks. For some reason, I keep thinking we only have 6 picks.
I've been very similar with the number. I've always gotten it as 6. It just seems like we have less.
Yeah, but
It just
hey,
seems it.
it's all good. John, again, thank you so much for coming
Thank you,
on.
guys.
Please let everybody know where to find you and what kind of things you got coming up soon on your end.
Yeah. You can find me at John K CCF. We do a podcast over there at CCF_sports. Like I said, we cover everything from Air Force, CSU, CU. In our podcast, we have coming up a Air Force recruit who we're going to have come on, and just a lot of fun talking about some basketball and some recruits that are up their way into Air Force and CSU. So good stuff coming.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, John. Really appreciate it,
Thank
guys.
you.
Please hit that like on the way out. Please share this. Would love to get to 50 subscribers here soon so I can start live streaming. And, until next time, we will see you guys. But as always, go Broncos.
Go Broncos.